What's up, everybody, and welcome to episode 17 of Paranormal Axetvities with your host, Ben Axe, coming at you live here in the audio version only of the podcast. I do miss the camera, but hey, I look better on audio. So big thanks to you guys for listening. I really do appreciate it, and a huge thanks to all my Facebook, Twitter, all the social media followers. Big thanks to everythingentertainment.com for putting up with my shenanigans. Huge thanks to the Boardroom, to RSH Wrestling, to all of my other projects and friends and people and all that good stuff. Can't wait to keep this show rolling. Just a few things before we get into my awesome guest this week. One, this Friday, live on Facebook, live on everythingentertainment.com, and live on Twitter, 10 p.m. Eastern Time, Friday, July 10th, I believe is the date. I am doing a live paranormal investigation by myself in my house. Gotta say, I'm a little bit nervous, and if I wasn't going live, I probably wouldn't do it, because I'm a little chicken, and that's just how it is. But you guys will be there with me, so I'm really excited about it, so be sure to tune in. It could be a super boring show where it's just me sitting in the dark talking to myself, which is what I'm doing right now. Or it could be, maybe we'll catch a little something, who knows. So if you're interested in live investigations, it's my first time ever doing one, so please come hang out, join with me, comment, give me your opinions. Maybe you'll see something in the background and you can tell me to turn around and I'll get my head chopped off or something. I don't know. So be sure to tune in July 10th, Friday night, 10 p.m. on all my social media platforms. And I know what you're waiting for, but I hate to disappoint you guys, but I repeat, I do not have a paranormal activity of the week this week. I know. I'm just going to give you guys a second to mourn that thought. Seconds over. It really does suck, though, because actually, last week I got a little creative. I had a little time to kill over the weekend, and I got a little creative, and I actually made like a little segment, a little jingle, if you will. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little inspired by the Haunted AF's Dead Pet of the Week. It was a different thing, but I'm inspired by. So shout out to Haunted AF for the inspiration. But I can't play it. And I don't know why. I just have not had an activity of the week. It was a holiday weekend. I wasn't home a lot. Friday, I was off work, but we were out searching for fucking couches for some reason all day. And then Saturday, I went to my sister's house, and we hung out there. And then Sunday, I had an interview, and I guess I was home most of the day Sunday. But, nothing happened during the week last week. I don't know. I do have a theory. So here's my theory to you guys, and tell me if I'm wrong, tell me if I'm right, but it's kind of nerve-wracking because I don't want to lose it. But I've had a lot of activity, a lot of paranormal activities, for a long time, and then I started to talk about them, and I noticed right away it got a little less and less, but still happening. But then I brought up doing the live investigation that I just, promoted the shit out of, and nothing happened after I did that. So I'm nervous that me, publicizing it or making it more than just about my personal experiences, maybe pushing them away. I don't know. Is that a thing? Could the side that's talking to me or making itself known be mad at me for coming out here and making it, a worldwide thing? I have listeners in several countries. Is that a possibility? My wife seems to think so, and she's usually pretty in tune with her thoughts. So I don't know. It makes me nervous. I'm still doing the investigation. I'm still going to keep going at it. But it's just something to think about. And and maybe they're messing with me because they saw me make that jingle and they're like, you know what? You're not using it. F off. That. And if that's the case, I respect the paranormal world for doing that to me. I could play it for you guys anyway, just because I took the time to make it and I was really excited to play it. But I'm not. I'm stopping myself because if I played it, it'll just get your hopes up for an activity, and I can't do that out of my appreciation for you guys. So that's just going to give you guys something to look forward to. Hopefully next week I will have a paranormal activity, and then I can play my little jingle before before that segment, but not happening this week. So, this week on the agenda here is paranormal, not attraction, paranormal, shit. Now I already forget the words here, but that's all right. Paranormal attachment. There we go. Paranormal attachment. And so, with that, I'm sure you've all heard of stories. If you go to, a haunted location, like a popular place that ghost hunters goes, they always say, don't pick stuff up, don't take stuff. They talk about demon attachments. They talk about all kinds of paranormal attachments. How it's possible if somebody dies and they love their car, their spirit hangs out with that car, that kind of stuff. And personally, I don't have any paranormal attachment stories. I've never felt anything had ever attached to me. I have that one demon story that I feel like the demon was attached to somebody else. I just happened to live in the same house at the time. But I've never had any personal experiences with that. But I do know somebody who has had a paranormal attachment, and she is going to be on the show here in just a few minutes. So just a little background. Her and I go back. We met each other back in 2008 via the Halloween message board. Whoop, whoop. And then we kind of lost touch for years, actually. And then over the weekend, we kind of reconnected. So there's our little backstory, and we reconnected on the Twitterverse. We have a whole big network there. I love Twitter these days. I used to hate it. Now I love it because I do meet really awesome people, including the Haddonfield Report, which is a Halloween podcast. Check it out. I just listened to episode 4, I believe, today. Or was it 5? I think it was Halloween. Yeah, it was episode 5 today regarding Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, and it was fantastic. I have literally heard nobody else talk about that movie ever. So it's awesome to hear somebody else talk about it through my radio. So yeah, definitely check out that podcast if you're into the Halloween series. So now, going on, let's just go ahead and get my awesome guest, Bett Noel, on the phone. How's it going, Bett?
It's going well. How are you?
Oh, I'm living the dream. It's funny that we're talking because we actually go way back.
Yes, we do.
And then we knew each other remotely before remotely was a thing, and then we reconnected remotely recently.
Yeah, it was back on the Halloween message boards.
Damn right, the official Halloween message board, which still exists, by the way. I'm still a member of. I barely get on there, but I follow them on the Facebook now, so we're still tight.
Same.
Oh yeah. So hey, it's nice to hear from you. Nice to see you still doing your thing, still loving the horror movies and still doing the ghosty stuff.
Oh yeah, I mean, I go to horror conventions when we don't have COVID, and
Dude, I'm jealous.
So
I've never been to a horror convention.
I dabble in paranormal. I don't do it as often as I used to, just because I don't have a team anymore. Like, my team dismembered and disbanded. Totally different things.
I'm not sure about
disbanded.
Do you have a basement by chance at your house? It's if so, that's cool. I'm still like you. So you've been a paranormal investigator. You've been with a team and disbanded a team. I'm still struggling with the term paranormal investigator. As a matter of fact, my episode last week, which I did by myself, was basically me trying to convince myself that I am a paranormal investigator. So it's interesting how the different sides we're on right now.
Well, I mean, shoot, if I can book something good, we'll totally go. Like, you can come with me.
Hell yeah, I'm absolutely down. I just bought like all this stuff. I have like a K2 meter now, which is pretty cool. I've used it a handful of times and gotten some pretty cool results with. I just ordered a spirit box. It's not here yet, but I'm going to be using it on Friday for my live investigation in my living room. And yeah, man, it's exciting.
I want to get one of those Kinect cameras where you can actually see like the outline of the entity.
Is it like an infrared kind of thing?
Kind of. It's it actually shows like stick figures instead of.
I've heard of that. I gotcha.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That's crazy. So let's get right into it, man. So like this episode is about paranormal attachment, and it's interesting that we started talking again over the weekend. And before I even brought any of this kind of stuff up to you, you brought up how you've dealt with paranormal attachment in the past and possibly current. And so that's why.
Absolutely.
So it's awesome to have that timing couldn't have been better. And as I said earlier, I don't have a paranormal activity of the week this week, which is just me basically telling my weekly ghost story from my house or wherever. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I don't have a direct event of this week, but I think the fact that you and I happen to talk about paranormal attachment this weekend is it's a coincidence, sure, but it's an interesting coincidence if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, ooh.
Exactly. It's like Jesus. Like,
Right, right.
all right, so let's get right into it. So you're a paranormal investigator. You have a lot of experiences. So just before we get into the attachment stuff, if you want to tell a story from your investigations or whatever story you want to tell first, man, we'd love to hear pretty much anything you have to say about it.
Okay, I mean, my first investigation, that's probably the most interesting one, because that was the first one I did with a team. I mean, I hadn't done any before then. I just watched it on TV, which, mostly fake.
Sure.
So I actually answered a Craigslist ad to join the team, and they interviewed me and stuff. And that's how I found out that I was an empath with like some kind of extra ability, because they were able to tell me about a location without telling me what it was. And I was able to sketch a picture.
Oh, damn.
Um, Now listen, my my drawings are not great,
That's fair.
but
I
it
mean,
got the point across.
that's all you
Um,
need.
so they ended up recruiting me, and it was at night. I was on a team with two big burly guys. I'm only 5'2", so there's that. And then there was this bigger guy that was probably 6'4", 6'5", and I mean, he looked like a football player. So I went with him and then his buddy, and they had gotten clearance to go there, and we went to Central State Hospital before all the buildings were torn down. So this was like summer of 2011.
Got it.
And we started out in the Bear Building, or the Bar Building. People say it differently, which actually kept like the criminally insane, the violent, the so what's weird though is there was also classrooms for children. So it doesn't make complete sense. It's almost like they put maybe the kids that were too big of a pain in the butt in there as well.
That's crazy, though. You wouldn't think that they would have kids and violent offenders in the same location, and I immediately thought of Michael Myers when you said that. Just saying.
Right, right. So I had not checked out YouTube before I had gone, and I don't know if there would have been anything, but there is a video on there now, that a paranormal investigation team went, and you can hear this growl in the hallway. And so we got inside, and I'm not going to lie, I was a little shook.
I mean, I would be too.
I mean, it was my first investigation, and I didn't realize that we were going to be in an abandoned mental asylum. So, I'm just standing there, and we're talking about our game plan. We hear this horrible, deep, gutted growl. And there was a wall probably a foot behind me. And all of a sudden, I'm up against the wall, and I can't breathe. Like, it felt like something had its hands around my neck, but there was nothing there. So once my team realized what was going on, the big football player guy, he threw me over his shoulder and ran me outside.
So like
Now,
he saw this happening and then just decided to get you out of there.
right.
Gotcha.
So what I have found out since then is that empaths or people like that, you need to know how to protect yourself when going into those locations, because I didn't know that there was a proper way to protect yourself. So after that night, because I mean, I didn't go back in, I had red marks on my neck.
Damn.
Like, I was done. I was over it. And so they took me back to my car and they went and continued their investigation. But, you know, I had not shed that attachment. It had touched me and it had attached to me. And so the next few weeks, my lights were coming off and on. Cabinets were opening and shutting. I would open my closet, which did not have an air vent, and like hangers would be clanging like somebody had just, gone through them with their hand. It was insane. And I would have weird scratches. So I finally went to a medium that, had good reviews because I needed I needed some peace because
Sure.
I wasn't sleeping.
You need a cleansed, absolutely.
Absolutely. So that took care of it. Like I didn't have any more issues. And I've been able to do my own cleanses and sage my apartment when needed, ever since. And I really haven't had any issues with the voice. Because I don't go back and listen to those YouTube videos because they freak me out. But then, I got that voicemail.
Sure. So let's talk about that. So you got a voicemail. So that was back in 2011.
Mm-hmm.
Right. All right. So then when did you receive this voicemail that we're about to talk about here?
It was Friday night, and it was from my ex, who was like on a blocked call list. So it went to like my blocked messages. But she had just forgotten to hang up. And there was clearly a message there, at the beginning.
Absolutely.
So
I have this voicemail pulled up. Do you mind if we play it and let everybody listen to it?
Go right ahead.
All right, give me 1 second. Again, I'm a very bad millennial and don't know technology all that well, so I don't know if you're going to hear it, but we'll try. So I'm going to go ahead and play the voicemail that you received this past Friday. Did you hear that?
No, but I've listened to it so many times.
Fair enough. So I'm going to play it one more time just so they can hear it again. It doesn't sound like it's coming through all of that loud, which is weird because I had it pulled up before I called you, and it was super loud on the audio. But whatever. I'm going to play it one more time, and it's a pretty quick clip here. All right. So what does that voicemail say? Just in case they couldn't make it out.
Well, I listened to it 500,000 times, I feel like, before I even sent it to you. And I had a couple of my friends listen to it before I even, because I was like, okay, like she's got to be playing a prank on me. But to me and to a few of my friends, it sounds like, are you scared of me, Miss LaRue? And it clearly says Miss LaRue at the end, and I am a teacher. So, it shook me up a little bit. But just to make sure that it wasn't, my ex that was just playing tricks on me, I sent you that voice sample so you could compare the two.
Absolutely. And I did. I blew them both up 400%, which is the max that I can do without it being too distorted. And to me, they sounded completely different. They even registered on my audio waves. They looked completely different, which, again, I don't know a whole lot about audio waves, but they were different. So
Right. So it's like, now I'm wondering, because I have not heard that voice since we went to Central State and did an initial EVP session, like outside of the building. So I don't know if it's attached to me or if it's attached to her. Something's attached to somebody.
Sure. So what's interesting, though, is this is the first time you've heard it since 2011. Why do you think it would, if it stayed attached to you, why do you think, this is just guessing. I know neither of us really know, but what's a guess of yours that why would it stay dormant for 9 years just to come back?
If you think about the world, like the state of the entire world right now, and especially our country, things are getting really rough. And, there's been research to suggest that energies are, running higher, basically, because of all the fear and all of the stress and everything that everyone's experiencing. So that can actually affect how much power just natural entities have.
Sure, that makes a lot of sense. I've talked several times about energy and how, that absolutely creates things and power and all that stuff. Absolutely, that makes a lot of sense actually.
I hope that it's not just dormant, and I hope that it's just attached to her. I
That's
mean,
fair.
I don't wish harm on her or anything, but
Well, absolutely.
I've sage bombed my apartment since then. So
Yeah. Again, if it's, I know when it comes to demon activity, I know I've talked to other podcasters, other investigators, and a lot of them seem to believe, and I agree with them for the most part, that demon activity is very rare. Um,
it is.
sure. So yeah, so if I were you, just for the positive side of things, I would believe that it's not a real demon, that possibly it could be a paranormal entity like a spirit or a mean spirit or a negative spirit of some sort who is posing as a demon. And if
Oh,
that's
absolutely.
and if that's the case, that's a lot easier and a lot less scary in reality.
None of it really bothers me. I guess I'm so desensitized to it.
That's fair.
Um, like, any more if my cabinet's open or my TV changes channels, I'm like, really?
Yeah, that shit happens. I don't know. Again, I think last week, my last week's paranormal activity of the week is, that's just, I don't know if you listen to the show, but that's my little thing that I do. It was my TV turning itself up. Like, that shit happens quite often, actually. Like, the TV, like, I guess it's like it requires low energy to fuck with your TV.
Yeah. I mean, well, it can energize itself through the electronic itself. So, and since it's plugged in, that's an easy target.
That makes sense.
I mean, stuff happens all the time, and I'm just like, okay, as long as it's not violent or anything like that, I don't really worry about it.
That's fair. I'm the exact same way, actually. So far, everything that I've been experiencing, it's been non-violent since 2014 or 15, I guess. So that's why I'm kind of running with it. Like, might as well run with it if it's not violent.
Right? Like, I don't care if they stay as long as, they're kind. And that's my huge thing. I have not experienced any violent activity. It's just that voicemail.
Yeah, it is a pretty creepy voicemail. I mean, it just has that. I mean, and I hate to say the word stereotypical, but it is. It's that very stereotypical, like, evil fucking sounding voice, and it's scary. Like, it's.
Yeah, and it's definitely not the fake demon voice that they use on Ghost Adventures. I wish it was, because I'd be like, oh, it's a famous one, but like
That's funny. I think you're like the fourth guest I've had to make fun of Ghost Adventurers, so I dig it.
I mean, he's so scared. All he does is send his team in. He sends them in to do the dirty work.
That's hilarious. I've only seen one episode, and it was just the like the recap episode or whatever. It was when he was on quarantine and they were sitting in the movie theater. It was with Keith Linder, who's been on the show, so I watched that episode.
I highly recommend you watch the quarantine episodes. I think you'll get a kick out of them. Except that, I felt bad for Billy. Poor Billy. Billy got thrown to the wolves during the quarantine episode.
Oh, yeah. I'm not sure I know who Billy is, but I'll have to go back and check it out just because you said so.
Yeah, seriously.
So again, going on with the attachment stuff. So when it comes to paranormal attachment, what kind of things? Because I don't really know. And again, when I do this show, I do zero fucking research. I just give out my thoughts and opinions no matter how bullshit they are. so,
Right.
so what do you think causes paranormal attachment? Like, is it just demons that can attach? Because you hear about, you know, if you go to a museum, if you never, even like when I go to like, I've been to the Ohio State Reformatory, and they say don't take anything, even if you're outside, don't take rocks. Same thing with Waverly Hills. Same thing with basically any paranormal known site that you go to. They say don't take shit, because if you do, you bring stuff, you know, home with you, and it'll attach.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think can cause paranormal attachment? You know, like what would cause a spirit to latch onto you, or latch onto a fucking car, or a chair, or a table, or a shirt, or whatever? Like, what causes that kind of attachment?
I'm not sure about inanimate objects. I just know that rule of thumb, do not take them home. Do not like leave the premises with them. I had a few friends that used to take like haunted souvenirs. I'm like, you're idiots. And then they'd be like, oh, my lights went off and blah, blah. And I'm like, duh.
That's what
Like,
happens.
what did you think was going to happen? So, I mean, definitely, leave that stuff there. But, they know when you have some kind of clairvoyant ability. And
Right.
that's usually the target.
That makes sense. And my
I
wife's
mean,
bad at
like,
that.
mm-hmm. I mean, in my experience with my team, like the guys never got attacked. It was always the girls who were the empaths and the clairvoyants that were targets.
Yeah, that makes sense. I know we went to that place, Mansfield Prison. I think she took a rock, or she tried to take a rock, and I told her no. Because my wife's also very sensitive to their side, and we've had all kinds of sessions and that kind of stuff. It's like, why would you try to bring that shit home? Like, you know?
No, and I mean it's draining. It will make you feel exhausted.
No, absolutely. Um, it,
Like I usually have to have a couple day recovery period after I do an investigation.
that was that right? I've heard people say that too. Like, I've heard other people say the exact same thing, which, you know, just adds validity to the whole paranormal side. You
Oh yeah. I mean it will drain you for everything you have.
And I'm just thinking, if I'm a ghost, I want to know, like, what do I have to do to attach to you, or attach to this object? Like, what? I mean, I know you don't know. This is kind of just a general question, but, like, what makes them do that? You know? And if it was a demon that attached to you, that makes sense to me, because he's just like, oh, she's mine now, grabs onto you, whatever, and now he can follow you. Or he just
Mhm.
chooses to follow you. But when it comes to, like, a spirit, I don't know. It's harder for me to grasp that. I know it happens all the time. It's definitely a thing. I just want to know how. You know?
I'm not sure. I know that there's definitely two kinds of entities, and the ones that stay in that location. Ones that are bound to that location, which, they portrayed, this is going to be sound horrible, but in, oh, what's that one show that they have several seasons of? I just forgot the name of it.
American Horror
They
Story?
had like freak show. Yes. So American Horror Story, when they did those camp episodes,
Oh, yeah.
um, basically, they couldn't leave the camp. So I believe that there's those kinds of entities, and I think there's ones that are the traveling ones that will attach to people, and
Yep.
they haunt the people and not necessarily the place.
Yep, I can believe that. I mean, there's obviously all kinds of entities. There's good, there's bad, there's ugly, there's pretty, there's kind, there's mean. You know, there's all kinds. Um, yeah.
That was weird. Did
What's
you
that?
hear that?
I heard a bang. Yes, ma'am. What was it? Do you have a paranormal activity on the show?
It sounds like it. When we're just talking about different kinds of entities, there was like a bang knock type of sound.
Oh, nice. I've had that happen on my episode 4 of the show. I just named it "Knocking on My Wall" because while I was recording, I was in my garage, and I heard on my wall something knocked 3 times in a row, like knock, 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 and then I stopped talking because I heard it, and then I was kind of looking, and then it did it again. It's like, what the fuck?
Right.
But
It happens.
it's just us. One of them things. It happens now. That's crazy.
Yep.
So, I guess when it comes to attachment, obviously we don't have the answers, but it's interesting that something is definitely attached to you, or maybe used to be, or maybe not. We don't really know yet. So you definitely have to
Right.
keep me updated on what's going on, and definitely too, take care of you know what you're doing. Shit, you're an investigator with all the saging and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
so while I have you on the phone here, what's another like awesome, crazy ghost story from your investigation days, if you can think of one?
Um,
I kind of put you on the spot. I know.
I'm trying to think. Oh, I mean, it's not really an investigation story, but I can tell you that one night I was sitting in my last apartment, and I like my chest just started hurting. It's almost like I had something that was way too spicy. That overwhelming like pain, like you think you're gonna die. And it wasn't 20 minutes later, I got the phone call that the investigator that I described as a football player, he died of a heart attack.
Oh Jesus. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's definitely something to that too. That happens. I definitely believe in that kind of stuff, warnings and yeah, that's wild.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, there's so many like little things like that. I think there's more little things than big things. A
Sure.
lot of our investigations, didn't have a whole lot of evidence. Sometimes we didn't catch anything. And that's, it's the way it is.
Nope, absolutely, and that's how it has to be. I'm like, this isn't a exact science, and you could go into a very known, very active haunted house for 8 hours and not catch shit. That's just how it goes.
Oh, absolutely.
And people that claim that, like people like Ghost Adventurers, if when you claim that you go into a house and you catch all of this stuff, you probably didn't. That's probably for your TV show and not real life. Um,
Right. Absolutely.
and those are the kinds of people you can't trust. People that claim all of this stuff happens all the time. If it happens during an investigation, if you're in your house, I have shit happen here all the time. That's different than going to a different location and doing a full-fledged investigation. And I just take those people that act like, oh yeah, we've all had all this stuff happen. It pisses me off. Like we had an investigation team come to my house back in 2015, and they were just so full of shit. You could just tell. It's like, before they did the investigation in my house, they told us all this bullshit. They were like, "Oh yeah, well we've seen this, we've seen this, we've seen this, we've seen this, we've blah 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 blah." And then when they did the actual investigation, they just stood there. It's like, you're not even doing anything. You didn't see all that crap because you're acting like you don't know what you're doing right now in my house. So if you did see all this crap like you claim, raining walls and all this demon shit, I feel like you'd be better at what you're doing right now in front of me. And those kind of people really annoy me. So, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, the ones that, don't have the actual education and knowledge, and they just go in there and think it's a game, and it's not.
Oh, absolutely. It's definitely not a game, and it's definitely not a. I could probably be found guilty of making having fun out of it, which I like to
Well,
have
yeah.
fun. That's what I do. But at the same time, it's a learning process, and you definitely have to take it seriously. And those who don't take it seriously when the time comes to be serious, those people annoy me too.
Well, yeah, I mean, my thing too is the people that are disrespectful. Um, that's one of my biggest pet peeves when you go on an investigation is when somebody is disrespectful
Absolutely.
and is like, just trying to aggravate them.
Yep, and that happened in this investigation at my house. She was called. I don't know, some dumb lady, but she was just saying all kinds of dumb stuff. And it's like, what are you doing? And it got to the point to where a friend of mine happened to be using her spirit box at the same time and texted us and was like, "Hey, are there investigators in your house? Because this ghost is telling me that there are, and she won't come out because they're making fun of her." It's like, what the fuck? Like,
Right.
that's a real story. It sounds insane, one, and it sounds made up, but that actually happened. It's like, I don't understand this.
Well, and I mean, that's the thing too. I mean, if, because there are a percentage of entities that actually walk this earth. So why make their life hell when they're in between the void, And
Sure. And that's
it
one
just,
absolutely, and that's one thing my wife taught me actually, because she's very in tune with all of this. And back when we first got together, actually, I was talking about ghost stuff, and she was like, "They're humans, at least they used to be anyway. Like they
hmm
have feelings and emotions just like you do, and they don't owe you anything. It is disrespectful to even try to talk to them if they don't want to talk to you. It's like, who the fuck are you? Fuck off." And
hmm
that's what I'm trying to do with this show. And then when I start doing investigations here, is to go into it with the respect, only let them talk if they so choose, and obviously don't be a dick, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
And
Absolutely. I'm actually working on trying to get the local owners of Fox Hollow Farm. Um, you'll have to Google that one. It's only about 20 minutes from my place, but it's one of the most haunted places in the area.
oh,
It was a
nice.
local serial killer, Ed Baumeister.
Oh, I love serial killers. Heck yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Um, I have been on the outskirts of the property and I've had some experiences. I mean, just real mild ones, but I would like to do an overnight there. So if I can get permission from the local owners, I will let you know.
Dude, call me up. I have never done an overnight, and to do an overnight at a serial killer location would be fantastic. And I don't think we live all that far from each other, so that would be amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, I will send you the links and stuff so you can look at it. He actually killed himself when the cops were onto him in a satanic ritual so that he could always come back to haunt the land.
Dude, what a dick.
Mm-hmm.
That reminds me, seriously. I know this is kind of off topic again, but I don't know if you ever have read the original Halloween 4 script, but it's very similar to that. Like, Michael Myers gets beheaded, and, like, they sew his head back on, and it becomes, like, a big, like, ghost thing. And it sounds similar to that dude killing
Oh,
himself so he could haunt.
wow.
Yeah, dude.
Well, the thing is, too, is they've never had a gay investigator go, and it was a bunch of murders of gay men.
Oh, wow. So, I mean, just being, yeah, that being a gay person there, I bet you would definitely, if he's there, it would probably.
Oh yeah, I mean the victims, like they're going to
Absolutely.
be more active and more likely to come out.
That makes a lot of sense. Be more open to him.
Mhm.
That's interesting. I will definitely be Googling that. Said Fox Hollow Farm?
Yeah, Fox Hollow
Hollow Farm. Awesome. Fox Hollow Farm.
in
Written down.
Carmel, Indiana.
Carmel, Indiana. Awesome. All right, well, I'll definitely check that out. And we're about a half hour in, so I can go ahead and wrap it up. I really do appreciate you being on the show.
I appreciate you helping me out with that sound clip, and now that we're back in touch, we'll have to do some investigations
Absolutely.
together.
For sure. Like I said, I'm still learning the ropes, and I still have a hard time using that term. But at the same time, I still don't call myself a podcaster, but I've been doing it for 3 years. So it takes time for me to adjust to new terms. But
Right.
again, I definitely appreciate you being on. I'd love to have you back on at some point and just talk about the ghost stories, the ghost investigations, and all that good stuff. Just because that's always a fun topic. So,
Absolutely.
alrighty, ma'am. So, I'm gonna let you go here. So you again, thanks for being on, and have a great evening.
Thank you. You too.
Again, huge thanks to Bett for joining the show and telling her stories and her experiences. I cannot wait to get together and go on an investigation one of these days that's not, a tourist attraction. So, hells to the yeah. Good luck with all the stuff you have going on with the paranormal attachment world. You know what you're doing. You'll take care of yourself, I have no doubt. So that's going to go ahead and wrap up episode 17 of Paranormal Axetvities. Again, be sure to check out my first ever live investigation this Friday night at 10 p.m. July, if I can get that right, July 10th on all of my social media platforms. And again, huge thanks to alleverythingentertainment.com. Huge thanks to the boardroom for supporting the show. Big thanks for Regularly Scheduled Hostilities, which is my wrestling podcast. Check it out every Thursday night live at 6 p.m. on everything entertainment and all the social media platforms. And that's going to go ahead. I think I said all my thank yous, so be sure to follow me on Twitter, follow me on Facebook, Paranormal Axetvities. And again, if you have a story you want to tell me, if you have anything you want to tell me, really, hit me up on paranormalaxepodcast@gmail.com. Again, that is paranormalaxepodcast@gmail.com. And until next time, fellas and ladies, let's just keep learning together.